Good Sunday morning, lovely people. We begin our service by lighting our Christ candle. This candle dances with the presence of the Spirit, reminding us of the warmth of community into which God calls us, and the light that shines for wisdom, insight, and clarity for us in our time of worship. As we gather here to worship at St. Paul's United Church here in Halifax, we pause to remember that we gather on lands that are the traditional and the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. May we strive to live with respect on this land and in peace and friendship with its people. Welcome, welcome one and all to our service of worship on this first Sunday of July. It feels to me like summer really starts when we hit July in Nova Scotia. June, these many decades past my school years, June still feels like the end of school, and so summer really, I think, bursts forth for me when we get into July. And I think that might be the case with a number of us. I know that some of you are excited about the Atlantic bubble having been formed now, and we can now move about in the 4 Atlantic provinces. And I have some friends who have been back and forth already to see grandchildren that they haven't seen for 3 months, or simply some colleagues who have started their vacation in July, who have headed off to cottages for a couple or a few weeks, and other friends and folks in the congregation who are, I think, looking forward to visiting family in other provinces without having to quarantine when we come back. For others, there is some concern around that, and some are still feeling that sense of insecurity around reopening too quickly. And so we have all of this mix, and so we continue to remind one another to keep that safe 2-meter physical distance when we're out around other people, to wear a mask, strongly recommended by Dr. Strang, to wash our hands, practice all of those safe ways of being together so that we can continue to keep one another as healthy and safe as possible, even while celebrating that we can get back together with some beloveds already. We continue this morning our summer series inspired by Barbara Brown Taylor's book, An Altar in the World, which is a book about finding holy places everywhere. And so just a quick recap from, if you've missed last week, Barbara Brown Taylor is an American Episcopal priest, a professor, an author, a theologian, a preacher. She has been included in Time Magazine's list of 100 most influential people in the world, which is pretty cool for a theologian to have that place. If you hear that religion is dead, it really isn't. It's still alive and thriving in so many places. Christianity and Judaism and Islam and Hindu, and all kinds of religions around the world. Which reminds me that the folks are planning the 2nd annual Cultural Connections Festival, and that is planned. It's going to be online this year just because of the uncertainties around gathering in large numbers, and so it is planned for October the 3rd, an online event, and so stay tuned. It looks like it's going to be a fun and fabulous event, and still ways to engage even though it is online. So to recap the book that this summer series is based on, An Altar in the World, Taylor had said that she'd been invited to speak by a priest, had invited her to speak at his church in Alabama, and in the preparation she asked him, "What do you want me to come and speak about?" And he said, "Come and tell us what is saving your life right now." And so this book was birthed out of that question. Each chapter is kind of a tentative answer to that question that she was asked so many years prior to writing the book. and each chapter focuses on a certain practice that sustains and grounds her and saves her life, she says. And some of the chapters are ancient religious practices, and some she describes as utterly ordinary activities that are so full of pleasure that there is no need to complicate things by calling them holy. And yet they are the activities that change lives. And so that's what our summer is going to be based on, other than the time that I'm away on vacation in August, when our region, the regional executive of the United Church regionally, has prepared some worship services for congregations to use to view when ministers are on vacation. But through July and the first bit of August, we'll have this series to ground us, to remind us that the holy and the sacred is not only here in the four walls of the sanctuary, but in your homes, at the kitchen table, in your backyards, in the places that you go, in the people that you meet. Everywhere. We'll sort of look at take a different focus each week and consider a practice that can help us to reorient ourselves into the divine's heart. I seem to have a little bit of a frog in my throat. Rest assured, that's all it is, just a little bit of a frog. I'm otherwise feeling very healthy and fine, as it seems to be the case. I haven't heard that anyone is feeling particularly under the weather, so please do let me know if you are not feeling well, if someone you know is not feeling well, if you or anyone you know would like an outdoor visit. Can probably arrange that somehow. Certainly a phone call or an online visit. Most delighted to have those connections. Let's turn our hearts now into our worship service and open our beings to God as we sing together the introit that we're using through this series. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary from more voices. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Join me now in our call to worship. Listen, divine love beckons us, saying, "Arise, beloveds, and come away." God draws our attention in body and spirit toward what is healing, what is good, what is true. Alive to desire, we cannot settle for the ways of life that deaden and destroy. Seeking the arms of God, we pursue life abundant. We chase the sound of love and search high and low for justice. The one who satisfies our deepest desire will not leave us wanting. With passion, let us heed the call of God. Let us pray. Beloved one, come and kindle in us a passion for life. Though struggles may surround, do not let us grow weary of dreaming. Keep us alive to our longings for collective abundance, until the earth and all its creatures are restored to wholeness and harmony. May we persist in pursuing the lure of your love. Amen. Let's join our hearts and our voices and raise those voices in joyful song together, making a joyful, not perfect noise as we sing from our voices united, number 264, All Things Bright and Beautiful. You know you love it. Sing along at home. Who's going to hear you but you and God? And I might hear the whispers of your singing coming at me through the cosmos. So I know that you are singing with me. And we're going to sing the refrain at the beginning and then again at the end, and not in between every single verse. So let us sing together, All Things Bright and Beautiful. All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, in love God made them all. Each little flower that opens, each little bird that sings, God made their glowing colors, God made their tiny wings. The purple-headed mountains, the river running by, the sunset and the morning that brightens up the sky, the cold wind in the winter, the pleasant summer sun, the ripe fruits in the garden, God made them every one. The Rocky Mountain splendor, the lone wolf's haunting cry, the Great Lakes and the prairies, the forest in the fall. God gave us eyes to see them and lips that we might tell how great is God, our Maker, who has made all things well. All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, in love God made them all. Such a sweet song and powerful as well. Let us turn our hearts into gratitude for sharing the abundance that we enjoy. Though we hunger for a world free from greed and violence, God does not leave us empty. Blessings of joy find their way to us in the midst of our struggles. Simple pleasures and ordinary delights sustain our spirits and keep us in touch with the gifts of God. In gratitude for these divine offerings, let us share from our abundance. We think about making altars in the world. We know that our offering plate is not an altar, but a vessel for containing and receiving the gifts that we offer with our deepest gratitude for our ability to be able to give back some of who we are and what we have, to be used in God's service in this place, to be used to continue the ongoing ministry of St. Paul's here in this time, in this place, in this particular community, and the ways in which our giving spreads out into our wider community, the National United Church, through our mission and service gifts. and Gifts for Vision catalog that people participate in that helps people around the world and within Canada and within Nova Scotia, and Mission and Service also funds the ministries that are given by St. Paul's Family Resources Institute. One of the sources of support and sustainability for St. Paul's Family Resource Institute is the United Church's Mission and Service Fund. And so we are indeed giving back to ourselves in service of the wider community in some ways. Let's sing together our sung response, What Can I Do? What can I do? What can I bring? What can I say? What can I sing? I'll sing with joy. I'll say a prayer. I'll bring my love. I'll do my share. What can I do? What can I bring? What can I say? What can I sing? I'll sing with joy. I'll say a prayer. I'll bring my love. I'll do my share. Spirit of life, you will not be contained or confined by evil's deadening ways. You permeate all creation, capturing our attention with your beauty and gentle power. Forgive us for all the times and ways we turn from you, settling instead for that which leaves us only half alive. Bless our offerings and nurture our hopes that your love may be multiplied among us. Amen. A reading this morning is from the Message translation of the book of Exodus. I mentioned last week that we are reading from a dynamic translation and interpretation called The Message by Eugene Peterson, because it is written in a kind of a dramatic storytelling kind of a way, with using sort of more common English, and so it seemed to fit in with this series of finding the divine and altars in the world in everyday ordinary kinds of things. And so our everyday ordinary language may also be an altar in the world for us. So Barbara Brown Taylor sets up this morning's reading like this. She says, early in the Bible, there is a story about Moses who would turn out to be God's great partner in the liberation of the people Israel from bondage in Egypt. He was not that yet. In this passage that we're reading, he was still a fugitive from justice, hiding out in the Arabian desert to meet a murder rap back in Egypt. Moses' life changed one day while he was tending his father-in-law's sheep. Let us hear that biblical story now from the Message interpretation from the book of Exodus, chapter 3, verses 1 to 13. Moses was shepherding the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. He led the flock to the west end of the wilderness and came upon the mountain of God, Horeb. The angel of God appeared to him in flames of fire blazing out of the middle of the bush. He looked. The bush was blazing away, but it didn't burn up. Moses said, "What is going on here? I can't believe this. Amazing. Why doesn't this bush burn up?" God saw that he had stopped to look. God called to him from out behind the bush, "Moses, Moses." Moses said, "Yes, I am here. I am right here." God said, "Don't come any closer. Remove your sandals from your feet. You are standing on holy ground." And then he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. Moses hid his face, afraid to look at God. God said, I have taken a good long look at the affliction of my people in Israel. I have heard their cries for deliverance from their slave masters. I know all about their pain. And now I have come down to help them, to pry them loose from the grip of Egypt, get them out of that country and bring them to a good land with wide open spaces, a land lush with milk and honey, the land of the Canaanite, the Hittite, the Amorite, the Perizzite, the Hivite, the Jebusite. The Israelite cry for help has come to me, and I have seen for myself how cruelly they are being treated by the Egyptians. It is time for you to go back. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the people of Israel, out of Egypt. Moses answered, but why me? What makes you think that I could ever go to Pharaoh and lead the children of Israel out of Egypt? I'll be with you, said God. And this will be the proof that I am the one who sent you. When you have brought my people out of Egypt, you will worship God right here at this very mountain. Then Moses said to God, suppose I go to the people of Israel and I tell them, the God of your fathers sent me to you, and they ask me, what is his name? What do I tell them? The bush, that burning bush that was blazing with fire but not burning up. It caught Moses' attention. He could have easily just glanced and thought, ooh, something shiny. No, don't get distracted. I got to keep my eyes on my father-in-law's flock. Maybe I'll come back later when my chores are done and see if this bush is still burning. But he stopped what he was doing and paid attention. He found himself standing on holy ground. I actually think we're all and always standing on holy ground, but something happens when we pay attention to the holiness around us. When we see through eyes of reverence, everything can become an altar in the world at which we can encounter and worship God. We allow ourselves to let go of our human tendency to control and categorize and create hierarchies, even for flowers. These flowers, roses and orchids and dahlias, are worthy of our attention and our money and places of honor in vases on our tables. But those ones, Queen Anne's lace and buttercups and daisies, those are weeds to be gotten rid of, even if it means destroying the environment with toxic chemicals. But when we let ourselves embrace all of the ways in which divine creativity unfolds and evolves in the world, even backyard weeds become intricate, complex altars of holiness. Have you ever really looked at dandelion seed pots? Their structure is exquisite. Or the center of a daisy, that yellow disc spiraling in the mathematical fractal pattern called the Fibonacci sequence. I've been looking at daisies all my life, my 55 years of life. Maybe I'm 56. I'd have to count. I think I'm 56. And only just noticed this pattern recently. Before that, I hadn't really looked. I just thought the center of daisies, I knew there were seeds in that, but just kind of a bunch of them just growing there. I'd not noticed this pattern in the midst of that disc. And I was out in my yard in one of the hot sunny days recently with my camera, taking some micro close-up photos, macro photography. And I thought the flowers were lovely and they made me smile, and I was taking some of these close-ups. And as my gaze lingered, I noticed that the seeds in the center were spiraling out in this really cool geometric kind of a way. And I remembered a Nature of Things episode with David Suzuki talking about this thing called the Fibonacci sequence. the name for a series of numbers that produces a singularly distinct pattern and repeats and repeats and repeats in nature. It shows up everywhere. And he described how often it appears in nature almost, he said, as if by design. Of course, Suzuki was saying that tongue-in-cheek because he's a famously lifelong atheist. But it was an interesting observation, and that sequence shows up all over the place. And if you look at the center of the daisy, you'll see the ways that the seeds spiral out. They're not just randomly growing in the middle there. Daisies seem different to me now. Kind of like how dandelions seem different to me ever since I noticed that structure of the seed pods a couple of years ago. I have a reverence for them that I didn't have before. I mean, I've always loved dandelions, don't get me wrong. They were my jam as a kid. I would pick the huge two-handed bouquets for my mom on a daily basis, and God love her, she received them reverently, a gift of love from her small, grubby-handed child who wore her heart on her sleeve. But now, dandelions and daisies seem something else altogether. Gazing on them feels like a holy, sacramental moment. When regarded properly, Barbara Brown Taylor writes in the book, anything can be a sacrament in the sense of an outward and visible sign of an inward and spiritual connection. Food, for example, cooked reverently. She talks about getting chicken breasts and cooking them up. Soft cashmere sweaters and shawls. A cup of fresh, strong coffee. Even the smell delights me. Taylor writes about a mail order catalog feeling like a sacrament to her when she paid attention to it. The designers of it, the photographers, the models, the copy editors, the producers of the goods being offered for sale on the pages. And then she says, one day, a forest very near her house was clear cut. So close to her house, and the smell of the sap was so strong, it felt like it was running on her very hands, and she realized how many trees are destroyed for one run of a catalog, and then how many copies go straight into the trash, in some places recycled, in others not. When we become increasingly aware of the unethical treatment of animals by the massive agribusiness industry, when we hear that in China, where cashmere goats are raised to produce sweaters for Western consumers, grasslands are so overgrazed that 1,000 square miles turn into desert every year. And then our reverence has an ugly flip side. A painful awareness of what happens leading up to the moment that we're noticing with reverence. Taylor writes, reverence can be a pain. It's a lot easier for me to enjoy my coffee if I don't think about coffee farmers living in poverty while corporations make billions. But paying attention to the hard parts of the story, Taylor reminds us, weaves us into the web of cause and effect, reminding us of our place in the grand overall scheme of things. Paying attention to only one half, the delightful bits of the story, is to live a half a life with a half a heart. When we start paying attention and becoming intentional in our reverence, when we're drawn deeper into the flow of God's love and joy and peace, we begin to seek goodness, not only for ourselves, but for everything around us. And we become more aware of how our choices impact the world. I remember attending a learning circle with an Indigenous teacher a few years ago, and he spoke about traditional hunting methods and honoring the animal. And someone in the circle, a white woman, tried to call him out, saying it was unjust to kill animals or to raise them as food producers like egg-bearing chickens, and this person boldly claimed that being vegan was the only ethical choice. And this Indigenous teacher responded by talking about the Indigenous relationship with the earth. When Indigenous people say, all my relations, all our relations, they do not mean only humans or only animals. They consider all of creation their kin in a very deep and profound way. All life, said this teacher, is sacred. All life. Reverence and gratitude is for all of the life that we take that sustains our own, whether it walks on four legs or grows rooted in the ground. Any claim that humans and other animals are the only forms of life worthy of reverence seemed a strange and harmful concept to him. All our relations includes the very earth itself. For me, that's what the biblical call to stewardship is about. Caring for the earth, because we are an integral part of life on earth, life in God. Today's consumer culture and our human tendency to construct those hierarchies can lead us away from our relationship with the divine. But we can relearn to see all life as sacred. If we practice seeing through the eyes of reverence, we can renew our connection with the earth as we notice how deeply and completely God's love saturates all of the universe, the cosmos, all of creation. And we rediscover how inseparable we are and how inseparable our wellness is from the wellness of the very earth under our feet and over our heads, that we consume in our bodies and that our bodies in turn nourish after our physical life ends. All life bound up together in God. Everywhere we look becomes an altar of the holy. May we see with those eyes. Amen. Let's sing together. It's a tune, lyrics called "The Earth is the Lord's." The first line is from Psalm, forgetting which Psalm it's from, 24 maybe. I'll have to go look it up. I had these words in my file with immense apologies to the author of them. I did not have that noted down in the particular place that I had saved them. It's to the tune of Voices United 264, Immortal, Invisible, God Only Wise, with lyrics, "The earth is the Lord's." Let's sing together. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Creation reminds us, O God, of your love. By grace we are learning as year leads to year. We're called to be stewards, your caretakers here. Your rainforests nurture the world that we share. Your wetlands give animals shelter and care. Your coral reefs cradle the life of the sea. You've shown us in love what your good world can be. Too often, oh God, we abuse your good earth. We fail to remember its beauty and worth. We take from creation much more than we need. We threaten your world through indifference and greed. May we be good stewards of all that you give, protecting creation wherever we live. May we be a church that renews and restores and lovingly cares for this earth that is yours. Beautiful words in that. I give thanks for the songwriter. I'm guessing perhaps Carolyn Winfrey Gillette, as I do tend to find a lot of her words are beautiful, and she writes them to those familiar tunes. That is a good way of allowing us to continue those tunes that bring joy to our hearts while letting go of some of the problematic words or some of the words that we might feel like we have outgrown, or simply words that have a different sense than the original words, and we can love both and. Let us move into a time of prayer for our community and the world around us as we open our hearts. I'll open with singing, Lord, listen to your children singing, and invite you, when I start anytime that refrain, please feel invited to join in your homes, and also this is a good time to call to mind both all of the people and the places and the situations and the things that make your heart tingle with delight and joy and gratitude. And also we hold always mindful of all of the complexities of life and death and loss and rebirth. Those people that we may be grieving the loss of, the situations that might cause our hearts to feel shadowed or tender, swollen with pain, situations in the world that bring us a sense of grief and sorrow or anger. Call all of those things into our hearts, and we'll join our collective energy, prayer energy around all of those things, and pray for with gratitude and also for comfort and healing of the world. Let us open our hearts wide in prayer. Lord, listen to your children praying. Lord, send your spirit in this place. Lord, listen to your children praying. Send us love, send us power, send us grace. Holy One, we feel your energy coming through the soles of our feet, warmly resting atop our heads as the sun shines. We feel your energy in the breezes that blow across our skin. We smell your spirit in the smells of the places that are familiar to us. We see your face in the faces of everyone we meet. How grateful and wonderful it is to be a part of your amazing creation, to be made of your love and live in your love. May that feeling of oneness with you keep us grounded and tethered. Help us to feel strengthened and encouraged in the times of difficulty. When we feel lost or alone or afraid, may we remember the power of your healing touch, your presence, and the love and care of the companions around us in community. The ways in which your wisdom guides us as we call on our leaders to follow a path of wisdom in this world. We feel your presence in the silence of our hearts. Lord, listen to your children pray. Lord, send your spirit in this place. Lord, listen listen to your children pray. Send us love, send us power, send us grace. We gather all of these prayers. We lift them in the name of our brother Jesus, and we pray together in the words that he left us. Our Father and Mother, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Amen. Let's close up by singing. Close up our bubble of worship. We do not close the spaces between us, but we draw our service of worship to a close with a song from More Voices called It's a Song of Praise to the Maker. I am sure that the worship band has done this. I'm sure that we've sung it in congregational singing at least a couple times. It'll be familiar to you, I'm sure. If it's not, just listen in a couple of lines and then get the swing of it as we go along, and sing it out in your places of worship, in your altars at home, that sacred holy ground, wherever you find yourselves physically standing. Let's join our voices together in this virtual space, which too contains the holy and the presence of God. It's a song of praise to the Maker. It's a song of praise to the Maker. The thrush sings high in the tree. It's a song of praise to the Maker. The gray whale sings in the sea. And by the Spirit, you and I can join our voice to the holy cry, and sing, sing, sing to the Maker too. It's a call of life to the Giver when waves and waterfalls roar. It's a call of life to the Giver when high tides break on the shore. And by the Spirit, you and I can join our voice to the holy cry, and sing, sing, sing to the Maker too. It's a hymn of love to the lover. The bumblebees hum along. It's a hymn of love to the lover. The summer breeze joins the song, and by the Spirit, you and I can join our voice to the holy cry, and sing, sing, sing to the Maker too. It's a chorus of all creation. It's sung by all living things. It's a chorus of all creation, a song the universe sings. And by the Spirit, you and I can join our voice to the holy cry, and sing, sing, sing to the Maker, and sing, sing, sing to the Maker too. Let's carry on singing that through the day. That is such a great song. In the deepest places within us, God has woven us together. Our yearnings cannot be fulfilled in isolation. Our longings turn us toward collective transformation. The desires of our hearts lead us to connection and belonging, alive to the sacred lure of love within us as we seek right relationships with all the creatures and creations that surround. In the assurance of God's blessing upon these holy endeavors, let us go in peace. I am walking a path of peace. I am walking a path